everybody, welcome to SOAR from Home with me, Lindsay. Happy Monday. I hope everybody had just a great weekend. I definitely did. I had so much fun last week at our outdoor socially distanced programs. I hope to see more of you guys at next week's outdoor socially distant programs. Go ahead and look at our website, go register for those. Today we are going to celebrate because I think that any day of the year you can just celebrate how much fun it is to be alive and just have fun. And do you guys know that any day that it isn't your birthday, it is your unbirthday? So if it's your birthday today, celebrate. If it's not your birthday, celebrate your unbirthday. That just means it's not your birthday. So today we're gonna be working on creating a mini birthday hat that you can wear. So what you need for this is a piece of paper, scissors, some string of any kind. It could be string, ribbon, whatever. Some kind of hole punch, and then tape or a stapler. So I'll go through that one more time. Piece of paper, scissors, tape or stapler, string, and a hole punch of some kind. It could be a 3-hole punch too if you need it. So go ahead and pause if you need to go and find those things, or watch the whole video and then rewatch the video when you have your supplies. Okay? All right, so I'm gonna get started. Now, one thing you could do if you want a really colorful hat, you could either start with like a construction paper, which is already colorful, or you could draw on your paper first. Like I could take some markers and make like a cool design on it, or a picture. Or you could do what I did, is I just like went online and I found a picture, put it in a document, and then printed it. I like tie-dye, so I was like, oh, I'm gonna do a tie-dye design. That sounds like really, really cool. And as you can see, I only did on the top half of the paper, but that's for a reason, which you will see right now. So in order to create our hat, we are actually gonna get our rectangular, because this is a rectangle piece of paper, right? So our first step is going to be able to get our rectangle down to a square. Okay, so we did this once before when we were working kind of origami before, when I showed you guys how to make a cup. So we're going to take our top corner, and remember, we're going to fold the top corner down, and we're going to meet this side with the back side. We're gonna meet the edges together. So I'm gonna line up my side edges until they're met on both sides, okay? Then, do you remember my cool folding technique? Is that I'm gonna hold my edges and then go backwards. That way my edges stay in place, rather than if I go forward, my edges might move. So if I hold them tight, it's easier if you put it down and do it. I'm holding it up so that you guys can see. So I'm gonna hold my edges really good, go backwards. I'm gonna put mine down and get my really good crease. Remember, just push really good and hard, get that good crease in, so you know. Okay, now that I have my fold done, you'll see I have a big triangle, and then I have a rectangle. We're gonna cut this rectangle off. Okay, so I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna safely take my scissors. Remember, we always cut away from our body. So I'm gonna start at the bottom, and I'm just gonna cut along that line that I just made at the bottom till I have a big triangle left. So now I have this small strip of paper, which, you know what? I don't like to waste, so this will probably end up being a bookmark for me because I like to read a lot. And then I have my triangle, which when I unfold, is a perfect square. Okay, so rectangle we don't need for the rest of the project, but then we have our square. All right, now you might think a square is not a hat, Lindsay, unless it's part of the hat when you graduate high school or college or whatever. I guess sometimes you graduate preschool and kindergarten too. So we actually need to now take this square and make it into a circle. Now, the easiest way I know how to make a circle is I'm not gonna say I'm the best cutter in the world or I'm super good at eyeballing circles, because that would be a total lie, you guys. I have tricks up my sleeve. So my tricks are, we help ourselves make circles. We make it as easy as possible to make a circle that looks similar. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna fold my square into quarters. How I'm gonna do that is that no matter what way you fold, you're gonna fold your square in half one way. So I'm gonna take one edge, fold it to the next way, and just fold it in half. So I'm taking my edge, lining it up. A good way to do that too is like when you have your finger at the end and you can feel both papers. Then remember, hold your edges. It's easier to do it down. I'm only doing it up high so you guys can see what I'm doing. And then fold it back. Remember, fold it back from the edge so your edges don't move. Hold it. Remember, you're doing it down on like a hard surface, not up in the air like Lindsay. And make a really good crease. Okay, now you have it folded in half, right? If at any time I'm going faster than you're going, remember, you have the right to pause, catch up, and then do the next step. That's totally fine. I understand. It can be frustrating when I'm doing something and you're like, Lindsay, stop. You're going too fast. I get it. Just pause. It's totally okay. Everyone gets to do things at their own pace. Me too, right? Okay, so now that I have my half of a square, it looks like a rectangle again. I'm actually gonna fold this half in half. So I'm just gonna take one of the short edges of my rectangle. I'm gonna fold it to the other short edge. I'm gonna line up my edges. I'm doing my finger technique where I feel once it's lined up, holding my edges really tight and creasing it back so my edges are staying nice, stable. All right. Now we have a square again. All right. Now, when you're looking at your square, you'll notice you have a couple edges that they're folded, right? You can't cut it. And then you have some that are open, and you can figure this out by like where you can open. If you open like these parts. Now, we don't want to cut where the edges are, okay? Where you have folded edges. We're not gonna cut there. We're only gonna cut on the two sides that have, that are open, okay? And that's for a reason, because if we cut where the edges are, we won't have a full circle, we'll have parts. So, find where the sides are open. Hold the sides that have the edges so you can remind yourself. Now, if you want, you could take a pencil or a marker. I'm gonna grab one that's right next to me. I didn't say this at the beginning, so I apologize. But what you could do is, what we're gonna do is we're gonna draw like a cone. You guys know a cone. A cone is a triangle that has a circular bottom. It's mostly like a traffic cone or anything. But I could take, so these are my folded edges, and I could take it, and I wanna make my cone as close. This is not very good. I'm gonna draw it, and then I'm gonna show you guys. This is how we're gonna cut. We wanna cut as close to the edges as we can, because that'll make our hat as big as possible. But if you want it to be smaller, I guess you can cut it closer. Now you're gonna be able to barely see this because that marker was very, very out. But you guys see, I don't know if you guys can see that. I made a really, really faint line like this. This is how we're gonna be cutting it. All right, so these are my folded edges up here. These are my open edges. And now we're just gonna cut a little bit off and round off this tip to make our fold. So I'm just gonna cut along, and you don't have to make it, you can just eyeball it and go. But know that the important part is we're cutting off this triangular tip, okay? And I'm cutting away from myself. I'm reminding myself to hold the folded edges side so I don't cut to the folded edges and it stays in one piece. Because what would happen if I cut the folded sides is that it would be 4 separate cones instead of one solid circle. All right, once you have it cut off, you know, set your scraps aside so you can clean those up later. Then open up, and you're gonna have a rounded square, which will work for our purposes, okay? That'll work. Okay, now we need to cut in a diagonal. Now you'll see that we still have our faint lines from when we had our triangle. Do you guys see? So we have our 4, our crisscross from making our little square, but then we have our triangle cutting 1 in half. We're actually gonna cut up to the middle. So we're gonna cut from one edge up to the middle of one of those. So I'm just gonna start at the edge, hold my paper tight. Remember, do this on the counter. Don't do it up in the air like me. I'm just doing this to show you. And I stopped right at the middle. I don't wanna cut all the way through, I just wanna cut to the middle. So you guys see what I did? So I just started at the edge and I cut just to the very, very middle where all the lines intersect, and I stopped. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna fold. This is where we're gonna make our hat shape. So now I'm just gonna take one flap. I don't need this flap. I'm just gonna take one flap, and I'm gonna start weaving it around until I make a hat shape. The hat shape that I like. Now that seems to be pretty good. I'm getting a little bit of the pink, a little bit of the blue. Now that I have the hat shape I like, I'm gonna either take my tape or staples that I set. So you see how the inside just is kind of hanging here? And it's like you kind of fold it over. So see, we had the inside. I wasn't doing anything to the inside. I was literally just holding the bottom and I kept going. And it naturally ended and made a cone when these overlapped again. The inside and the outside are in the same place. So that kind of made it easy. I'm gonna go ahead and secure the bottom with a staple, just because I think that'll be very secure for the bottom. But I'm gonna run a piece of tape along the outside the top, just so I don't have a side sticking out. I got some clear tape. Maybe if you wanted a piece of plain paper, you could put like a piece of, if you have like colorful tape or anything. So now I've secured my side. So if you're using just tape, I would suggest putting some tape on the inside too to hold the inside in place. So if you're just using tape alone, put a piece of tape on the outside, but then also use a piece of tape on the inside to secure it. I have my staple, which is holding both the inside and outside, so I don't need that inside piece. All right, now we do have our little hat. You could wear it, but what might happen if I move my head, it's just gonna fall. So the next step is to see if we can secure it a little bit tighter to our heads. That's where our hole punch and our string is gonna come in. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at our hat and we wanna put 2 holes in on the opposite sides of each other. So now, we want to put our taped portion in the back of our heads, right? Because that's what we don't want really people to see. So I'm gonna put this, I'm gonna hold it to me while I'm doing this. And I'm just gonna take my hole punch and I'm gonna make sure, you don't wanna be too close to the edge, but you don't wanna be too far up. So you wanna make sure you have it in there pretty good. So I'm making sure I have it, you guys see that? I'm making sure the hole's up and there's paper below where the hole punch. Then I'm gonna press it good, make sure it goes through, and see? So now I have paper on the outside, so it's not gonna pull it through, right? My hole's not gonna go anywhere. Then I'm gonna hold it again in the same place, and I'm gonna go, oh, this is the complete opposite of this hole. So I'm going the other half, complete opposite, and I'm gonna do another hole, making my hole punch go the same amount of distance up, and make another one. So now I have holes, they're where my fingers are. So I got a hole here, and on the other side I have a hole here. All right, now I'm getting my piece of string that I have. You can either have 2 pieces of string, or you can have 1 long piece of string. I have 1 long piece of string for right now. It might become 2, but now I'm gonna take my piece of string and I'm gonna thread it through the hole on one side. And I'm just gonna tie an easy double knot. So remember, a double knot is just the beginning of how you would tie a shoe, where you have your 2 strings and you make an X, and that creates a hole. Then you put your string through the hole and tie it down, and then you repeat that 1 more time. Don't worry if you have a lot of excess string. That's actually really good, because then you can always just like cut your bit of excess string off. Then, since I have one string, I'm just gonna let it go down, but I'll use my other side. So obviously if you had 2 pieces of string, you would tie one string to one side and another string to the other side, but I have one. So I'm tying one end to one side and one end to the other side. I'm doing, and again, a double knot. So the beginning of tying your shoes where you just do the crisscross applesauce and then you go under and you tie it, you do that twice. That's called a square knot. Doing it 2 times. I'm gonna trim this side because it has a little bit of extra. So I want to trim that up a little bit. And now I am ready to party. I'm ready to go. I could wear it this way, I could wear it off kilter. So as you can see, our party hat is just a cone right now, but you could add to it. You could glue on some sparkles. You could glue a pom-pom to the top. Make it fun, make it whatever you want, and celebrate your unbirthday every day. Celebrate other people's big days. Today is National French Fry Day. Go through a drive-thru with your hat on and celebrate French fries. The drive-thru people won't know what hit them. Everyone have a great Monday. I will see you Wednesday. Bye.